Three of us that came from the New Jersey Detector Club, Frank Adams, Harold Stewart, and myself. We went to England around the 14th of October for 11 days. Previously, all three of us had been there before, and we have a guide named Roy Davis who lives there, and he's naturally locked in with the farmers. So we get with Roy. He picks us up at the airport in his van, takes us right over, sets us up in the bed and breakfasts, and has everything all set up. He picks us up every morning, takes us out to the fields or different parks, and that way we hunt. We pick up our lunches and our snacks and eat out there in the field also all day. Once you're out there in the morning, you stay all day until it's time to come home with the cows. And Roy's pretty good down there, and anyhow, once again, if you find any particular artifacts, what you do is he would look them over and feel if we have to, call in for the archaeologist or something, we would. But we'd make sure we get our hunting in first before you call those guys in. Over there, once they come in, they'll lock off the land, and then nobody can ever hunt it again. So now the detector clubs are fighting to get that loosened up. So once the archaeologists are finished, anybody can go back and hunt. We were over there the whole 11 days. We hunted mostly all farm fields for the most part. We were everything from cornfields to wheat fields and rutabaga and sweet potatoes, and the farmers would come in and work with us. Fortunately, they plow an area over, and that way, then the next day they come back and actually flatten the farrows out so we could walk the land. There's a couple times where they didn't have rain for, I forget, almost 30 days, and the ground was so hard. I actually bent my shovel, and so did Frank Adams. We had these trench shovels. We bent them so bad and twisted them, we just had to throw them away, and we just got some other ones. But then it started raining each night, and once again, that really helped out. There's 6 other fellows that came in from, I believe, Illinois, and they hunted with us also, and they come every year. Roy Davis, he'll hold 3 hunts in the fall and then 3 in the springtime, and that's what he does, and he has different groups whoever's going to sign up. It's just amazing, as you say, we find any coins here that are 17, 18, or 1900. Why, they're all modern, and of course to us, why, we're glad to get a hold of them. But anyhow, we started finding the hammered silver coins from the medieval kings, and that was really nice, which we always go for. And then actually we found some Roman coins too. Needless to say, you find all kind of old buttons and artifacts and relics of the people that lived there. During the history of England, my gosh, there have been so many different crusades and different armies that ever came in and taken over England. It's just amazing. Everything from your Vikings to your French and especially your Romans, they settled and then they left for a while, then they came back. Then, needs to say, the Second World War, we found all kind of bullets and shells and casings and different things right out in the middle of the farm fields that we were hunting. We had a couple days there where it really rained, and we had to wear all our rain gear, and of course stepping in the farm fields and all the mud, why, our boot sizes must have been 3 times the size, and that was really something. It was a little challenge, but it was good. We had the right gear for it, and the shovels, so that helped out. The particular guys that we hunted with, they're very knowledgeable, and one guy had he does sell coins, and fortunately having his laptop, we'd go home every evening after we ate dinner and cleaned up, then we'd sit there and he would go through every coin that we found and help us to identify it. So there's quite a history this time of going over, where you could identify the coin, and then also Elaine took the camera and then bought me a book of England and all the different kings and queens of that time. So that way you got some pictures of the different ones so we know what they look like. I can identify them with the coin. And I found it to be quite more of a real history lesson this time going over. I used my Fisher 1266. and use rechargeable batteries every night. And it just seemed to really make the difference. I used the better batteries, and I think I got good signals. Other people, a lot of them all use the Mind Labs. They didn't seem to care for Garrett over there too much, for some reason. But anyhow, I guess it's all what works. I don't know if anybody used any Excalibur or not. I think somebody did have one. But the Mind Labs, Explorers, and that's what they use pretty much over there.
How about the Fisher F-75? Anybody use that over there?
I didn't see that.
Okay.
And I probably wasn't looking for it either to really be able to tell you. See, what was the other one you mentioned?
No, that's who makes it. It's called the Fisher F-75.
Yeah.
It's a very hot machine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, pretty popular.
Rich, could you go over the treasure trove law in brief to explain to the group how it works?
Yeah, in England, up to this point in time, when it's just like that last big cache that the fellows found gold, over there, if you call in the archaeologist, they come in and then they close the area off. And it used to be closed off almost for life. And the metal detector clubs all got together and went to court on it and everything, and said that, you know, once the archaeologists are finished with their investigations and everything, why can't it be opened back up to the public again? So I believe they have since then been able to accomplish that. But that used to be the rule.
What about as far as if the people find like a treasure trove, and how is that determined by the government, and how is it split up, the value, and do they get to keep what they have, or they have to divide it up with the government, or how's that work?
I can't say for sure on that legal end. I understand that the gold and thing that was found, the people kept it. It's mostly if it's some archaeological real value, like if you find maybe a king's ring or something. I understand they will pay you for that ring, and I even heard they'll even make you a duplicate. I've heard that before. But they'd rather, you know, get the original back, and I feel that way too. That belongs, you know, to that country or whatever, and you know, and they're willing to make some compensation for it. Well, you know, why not? How many things do we find and we leave in our drawer and just sits there and does nothing, whereas it could have gone to a museum?
Hey, Rich, I think the museum has to appraise the item.
Oh yes.
And tell you what it's worth.
Definitely.
And then they'll pay you what it's worth.
Yeah.
But you have to split that with the farmer. Whoever owns that
landowner?
whoever owns that farm, you have to split the whatever they'll pay for it. You have to split it with the landowner.
I think that's for like if you find a cache or something, but I think if you find a single
treasure
coin or
trove.
whatever.
Treasure trove.
Yeah, it just depends on the value.
I think it's anything that's declared treasure. Like
Right.
my friend lives
Yeah,
over there.
that's
She
true.
said anything
Yeah,
they
declared
declare
treasure.
treasure, they have to split with the landowner.
Yeah, they do.
Rich, we've heard the term hammered silver. I've seen it in magazines and on websites. What does that actually talk about?
The hammer and silver, what they did was, the more going back to the medieval time, I had a date on it when they started, the first kings, and they just take a piece of round silver, and actually they made themselves their own die and everything. And what they did was they take the round silver, and I even had some paperwork on it, and they would make it, and they just take a real heavy hammer and smack the silver. But they actually engraved and edged their own dies and cast where they would imprint it. They even got it where they could even do the underside at the same time. And that's about as much as I know, and actually would cut the silver too. Going back, I believe, up to our old friend Henry VIII, what happened was originally these hammered silvers all had a cross on them. Okay. And it went only into the inner circle of the coin, the cross would. Well, of course, somebody gets pretty smart after a while, and they said, they'd go and trim off the outer edge and